Hello everyone, we are Guan Jingyi, Tang Guanfan, and Andrew Tan, all from 15A12. Today, we'll be talking about the reasons for the rise of nationalism in Burma. Before we delve into the details, we would like to give you some background information. We will then analyze the social, political, and economic reasons for the rise of nationalism, as well as the impact of World War I on Burmese nationalism. We will also introduce to you several Burmese nationalist movements. Firstly, some background information. The Kombang dynasty was ended by the British in 1885 with the annexation of the Burma into the British Empire. The Burmese viewed themselves as subjects of the British Empire. Colonial rule by the British affected many aspects of life in Burma. Firstly, there were social impacts. The removal of the monarchy and the courts by the British caused distress to the Burmese people, especially as the monarchy played a very important religious role in Burmese society. There was also deterioration in the standards and influence of the Sanghas, the Burmese Buddhist monks. To combat this, a few British educated civil servants set up the Young Men's Buddhist Association in 1906, with the aim of reviving traditional Burmese culture and rescuing the Burmese from their own tradition. The YMBA rose to prominence during the shoe controversy of the 1910s, defending their tradition of temple visitors not being allowed to wear shoes into the temple. Their success in this struggle increased the confidence of the Burmese people. The YMBA also established schools with lessons on Buddhist scriptures, providing an alternative to the Young Men's Christian Association, in an attempt to counter the influence of Christian missionaries in Burma. The British also introduced Western education to Burma, which allowed the YMBA to be set up in the first place. In the capital of Rangoon, university students discussed politics fervently. The emotional and intellectual impact of the city, with its large foreign communities and businesses, on youth coming from the districts, as most Burmese students did, was very great. The Rangoon University Student Union, formed in 1931, took shape when a group took control of the Dobama Azeon, meaning the We Burmese Association. The university students were, however, exposed to leftist British literature, increasing their support towards Marxism, as seen when the Marxist-oriented leaders of the All Burma Students' Union took over the Dobama Azeon. There were also political impacts of colonial rule, which contributed to the rise of nationalism. As mentioned earlier, the YMBA and its actions in the shoe controversy incident showed that the British was, to a small extent, willing to allow the Burmese rather, to dictate acceptable practices in their own monasteries. However, the British were still very much in control of Burmese politics. They were able to pass the University Act of 1922 without consulting Burmese opinion on the issue, which infuriated the locals. The locals questioned the motives of the British in keeping the number and quality of local graduates low, and condemned the low Burmese representation in university governing bodies. The political impact of British colonial rule eventually manifested itself when the Simon Commission reviewed the workings of diarchy with India in 1929. It then recommended the separation of Burma from India, as did the Round Table Conference of Burma in London from 1931 to 1932. However, the British imposed a condition on the Burmese people when they decided upon this in the 1932 general election: to choose separation from India now or never. This raised suspicions among the Burmese of Britain's ulterior motives. They were also influenced by Indian rumors that alleged that separation was just a ruse to give Burma constitutional reforms inferior to that of India's. An anti-separation league was then formed from the boycotting GCBA groups and Balmore supporters. Despite their efforts, internal divisions eventually caused them to be indecisive as to whether they really wanted to separate from India or not. In the end, the British took matters into their own hands and separated Burma from India. There were also economic impacts of colonial rule. Indian immigrants came into Burma and took over the economy with the support of the British. The Indians put in place unequal distribution of land. Many parts of Lower Burma belonged to Indian moneylenders. Indians rented these plots of land to Burmese cultivators, and their indebtedness led to them being stuck in credit networks within Chattai state and unable to pull themselves out of this credit network. World War I also played a huge role in the rise of Burmese nationalism. It helped break down the country's provincialism, provided new directions and power to emergent national forces of that time, and also placed a split between pro-British reformers and individuals more inclined to political activism, highlighting the internal divisions that were evident in Burmese nationalism before World War II. These are our acknowledgements. We've come to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy it, and please subscribe for more. Thank you very much.